Hello racing fans, and a warm welcome to our Gallop TV preview show for Tuesday the 18th of July, where we race at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth. Just having a look at what's on offer. There are 9 races, so the exotics will begin in race number 2. And as always, Graham Hawkins joining us for this preview, and race number 1 will kick off at 12 o'clock on the head. That's over 1,200 meters. It's a juvenile plate for fillies. And as we welcome Graham, I just want to give you the betting for race number 1. Horses in single figures from Hollywoodbets. Number 4, Mia's Harper, is at 2-10. Then we go on to number 6 at 5-1, and it's 10-1 and better the balance. Graham, I trust that you're well, and we're kicking things off at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth with an odds-on shot.
All good, thank you, Dees. Yeah, they could be betting 10-1 bar the one. I'm sure that Ellerix will eventually start at 10-1, currently 5-1. It's all about number 4, Mia's Harper. It's a pity this is not in the exotics, because it's always nice to have at least one ready-made banker in the exotics, whether you're talking about the bipod or the place accumulator. But unfortunately, race 1, as you mentioned, doesn't form part of the exotics. But it looks an absolute one-horse race. Number 4, Mia's Harper, ran second to Montalina on debut, flying up from the rear of the field. That form line has held up really strongly. Third in that race was recent winner Call Me Jetrix. Further back in that field was Kamikaze. That came out to win next time out. And even further back was One Fell Swoop, who made a winning debut for the Tony Peters stable last week. So that form is really holding up well, and will come under scrutiny also later on in the card. But Mia's Harper, home-and-nosed.
Yeah, it looks that way, Graham. 5 runners thus far from that form line, as Graham mentioned, with 3 winners, and we'll see what happens in race number 5 with Miracle in Motion after this one wins. Mia's Harper, confident selection, and I think the fixed odds betting market have got it spot on there. Race number 2 will begin the exotics. It's a bar pot over 1,200 meters, a juvenile plate for fillies, and this is the way they're betting, Graham. Number 5 at 11-2, 7 at 9-2. And we got another odds-on shot at 9-10. Now, Graham, I just want to pick your brain with regards to pricing up here, because I'm using that run behind Flying V between numbers 7 and 11. One's at 9-10 and the other's at 9-2. Of course, Listen to the Ocean had that one run after that. It was disappointing, but purely on that first start between both these horses, there could be some value at number 7.
Well, it's interesting you picked up on that, because I was going to mention it as well. There was only a half a length between them when they met on debut behind Flying V, as you've mentioned. Yes, Give Me the Waltz ran a better race in its second start, running third to Born Ready, so entitled to be favourite, number 11, Give Me the Waltz, but they should be much closer together in the betting. That second start of Listen to the Oceans, that was in the Perfect Promise Sprint. October Morn won that race by a distance. The going was very, very heavy that day, and clearly Listen to the Ocean didn't act in the conditions. So you've got to go with number 11, Give Me the Waltz, as the first choice, ahead of number 7, Listen to the Ocean. They do look the obvious 2 in the race. I'm going to include both 7, Listen to the Ocean, and 11, Give Me the Waltz in the bipot. The rest, there's not much to work on. So for me, the winner will come from one of those 2. We can expect some improvement, I guess, from number 5, Vix Princess, and number 3, Maria Christina, the 2 Justin Snaith runners that both ran behind Oni San on debut. But when you narrow it down, it comes down to a choice between 11, Give Me the Waltz, and 7, Listen to the Ocean. And those are the 2 that I'm going to include in the bipod. I guess some people will back number 11, Give Me the Waltz, and I wouldn't put them off doing that.
Yes, and that could be the exacta play of the day, 7 and 11 boxed, or if you're in the camp of either or, banker that for first. I think that could be the way to bank some cash there in race number 2. Race number 3, place accumulator, juvenile plate over 1,000 meters. And this is the way they're betting. Number 1 at 6-1, 3 at 18-10, 4 at 6-1, 5 at 6-1, 6 is at 8-1, and then it is 10-1 and better the balance. Looking at this field, Graham, I think the right horse is at the top of the betting boards. Number 3, because that horse was quietly fancied first time out if you're using the betting as a guide, and won exceptionally well.
I would say it was more than quietly fancied. D's backed in from 16-1 to 7-2. They landed something of a coup, and I noted in my column on that occasion that Pit Stain always finds a good 2-year-old. and this year doesn't seem to be any exception. Mercapitano, Grand Finico, great first time out, very impressive on debut, drew clear to beat Boogie Fight comfortably, and I think Boogie Fight hasn't been seen since, but I think Boogie Fight will win its next start. So clearly, Mercapitano definitely entitled to be favourite. I'm gonna hedge my bets with only one other runner. There are more with chances. I'm not suggesting this is a choice race because Speeding Bullet's got a chance, Mojo Man's got a chance, Silver Crown's got a chance, Oni Sand's got a chance. But I'm going to include number 5, Captain Arrow. So I'm going to include the 2 by Captain of All. And Captain Arrow, I know, took a very long time to win its maiden and did so in very soft conditions when beating Noonday Gun comfortably. I'm going to give him more chances because Candice Bass-Robinson has always thought very highly of Captain Arrow. He disappointed, but they have now gelded him. Interestingly, they waited till he won, and now they've gelded him. And so he's having his first start as a gelding, and we might see a much improved Captain Arrow in action as a result of the gelding. So I'm going 3 Mercapitano and 5 Captain Arrow, the 2 sons of Captain of All, to dominate the race. But as I say, it doesn't really end there because for trifectas and quartets, you've got to consider Speeding Bullets, Mojo Man, Silver Crown, Oni San. But for me, it's 3 from 5, and those are the 2 that I'm going to include in both the bipod and the place accumulator.
Very happy with that, Graham. I think some good points made on number 5 there, Captain Arrow. So 3 and 5, and I think you'll have every chance of doubling up in that place accumulator, which will start off in race number 3. The big one, the pick 6, is at 1340, 20-2, race number 4. This is an open maiden over 1,200 meters. And we get betting updates from Hollywoodbets. We thank them for that. And the betting, when every time I read it out on the show, is from Hollywoodbets. So horses in single figures. And the updated betting anti-post is on the first timer here at number 4, from 8-1 into 7-2. Number 5 is at 5-1, 6 at 5-1. Then we move along to number 10 at 8-1, 13 at 9-2, Graham. And then it's 10-1 and better the balance. This horse that's attracted some betting support, I'm using the computer form, and they always have comments in the index section for first-timers if they can get hold of the trainer. And I see in race number 4, Brett Crawford just writes place chance with his runner here. But it has been back, Graham. Have you heard anything? I mean, is there any talk for this horse in your quarters?
No, I haven't heard anything like you. I've seen that he's given it a place chance. If a horse can run a place, it can certainly win. It's got a lovely pedigree by Vercingetorix out of a daughter of Fastnet Rock. William Cotway rides for Brett Crawford. They're having a terrific run, as you know. The money's come in a small way. It doesn't take much to shorten the first time, as we know, from 8-1 into 7-2. It doesn't take a lot of money. If this horse is seriously fancied, and if this horse is going to win, he will shorten even further from that 7-2. He's the key horse in this race because there's very little form to go around. For me, it's a tough race. It's a field race. But as race time approaches, and if more money, and it's a big if more money comes from Montelazier, and he shortens even further, then I would have enough confidence, albeit that it's the pick 6 and you don't have to consider the first timers. He might shape up as a banker, but there's a lot of ifs, there's a lot of buts, and there's a lot of mights. If he's not that strongly fancied and somebody was just speculating with the market, which is often the case, and there's no follow-through in the market, then this race is something of a nightmare. I'm expecting improved run from Director's Cut, number 1. Number 2, run for me. Any price has got to have a chance. Number 3, October Sun, beautifully bred, ran well on debut at Hollywoodbets Greyville way back in September, October, now trained by Des McLaughlin. And he's making a habit of causing upsets. He's making a habit of winning with horses that have come back from long rests. So Richard Faree is a significant jockey booking on number 3, October Sun. You've got to consider that. 5, Sail the Sky, 6, Lexi Point, 10, Snow Cloud, 13, Moon Acres. But their form is weak. So the race is ripe for an upset. The race is ripe for a first-timer. As we stand right now, we record on the Monday morning, so we're more than 24 hours away from race time. For me, this is a field race. Deez, I can't be of much help to you.
Yeah, and I like your thought process there. If you can wait, and you got some time, and you want, I think, work out the balance of the legs, races 5 through to 9 for the pick 6. And just wait for race number 4. You'll get some nice interviews coming through from the course as well. And maybe they can get hold of Brett Crawford. Because if there's any confidence coming through, I like Graham's thinking. That could possibly be the banker Otherwise, you're going to have to play it as wide as possible and maybe even include the field. Race number 5, 1,400 meters, maiden plate, fillies and mares. How are they betting here? Number 1 is at 5-2. Number 3 is at 7-1. 4 at 6-1, 5 is at 6-1, 6 at 5-2. The scratching and early scratching here just comes through is horse number 8. Graham, at the top of the show, or should I say when we previewed race number 1, you mentioned the form line, you read out the winners. Miracle in Motion, is this a banker for you?
Yes, I'm going to put my eggs in this basket with some degree of confidence. It's not a strong field. It's not going to take a lot of winning. We've already shared all the winners that have come out of that Montalina. There have been more in recent last week with One Fell Swoop winning as well. Drawn in Gate 1, Miracle in Motion, 2-year-old daughter of Versing Gendricks only had the 2 starts. They were both good runs. Grant Fanica takes the ride. I'm not looking beyond number 1, Miracle in Motion. I'm expecting this one to shorten in the market, D's. I think this is going to start around 12 to 10, 13 to 10. I think the 5-2 is quite generous. I know that De Janeiro brings some form into the race, and we're looking for improvement from Wallaball, also out of the Montalina form line, but further back than Miracle in Motion was. Lickety Split might improve, but I'm expecting Miracle in Motion to shorten quite significantly in the market and start closer to even money than 5-2. So I'm happy to take some of that 5-2 already. I'm expecting Miracle in Motion to win. I'm expressing a lot of confidence. We don't like race 4, but I do like race 5, and I'm bankering Miracle in Motion.
Big confidence from Graham Hawkins there, and why not? I think after the running of race number 1, that form line could read 6 runners, 4 winners, and after running of race number 5, it could read 7 runners for 5 winners. Wow, that is a super powerful form line if everything works out in race number 5. You got the banker, the first banker on the card. We'll see if Graham has found another for you as we move along. Race number 6, 1,800 meters. It's an open handicap. Number 3 at 7-2. Number 4 is at 8-1. 8 at 11-2. 9 is the other anti-post horse that's been supported on Hollywood Bets, 33-10 into 28-10. And number 12, Marshall Field, that is a blinker strike, and 28-10 about number 12, Marshall Field. Some money here for 9, but I make 12 the danger. I like these 2 horses, Graham. I don't know if we can possibly, take a chance in this leg because there's some tough races to come. You got the banker in the previous race. Can we narrow this down to just 2 runners, or we need more, 9 and 12?
Well, we're in the same camp, and I think you can take a chance. The draw is a bit of a concern. If Marshall Field, you mentioned he's now been fitted with blinkers, so blinkers go on Marshall Field for the first time. That may be an indication that Lucinda wants Cornet Orpha to go forward from a wide draw, and we'll have to see how that all sort of pans out. If Marshall Field was better drawn, I'd be a lot more confident, but the draw has to be a bit of a worry. So you've also got to include Richard Faris Mount, number 9, Norshan. He's taking his time to win. He's a 4-year-old son of Dynasty, so he's a rising 5-year-old maiden. So, when you put it in that perspective, you've got to be a bit nervous. But like you, I've got 12 and 9 because there's not a lot of form to go around in this maiden handicap. Hawk Circle does have the advantage of a good draw, does have the advantage of Grant Fanica, trained by Justin Snaith. But like Norshan, Hawk Circle has been around in the maidens disappointingly for a long time. Big by Sylvan out of Mare by Jetmaster. Did run second behind Shotgun Willie last time, but that was in a work riders race, and I thought he would have won that race. So I'm going to suggest, just to be on the safe side, D's, we make it a 3-horse race because of the draw. We include number 3 Hawk Circle, we include number 9 Norshan, and we include number 12 Marshall Field. But if pressed for a first selection, I would go with Marshall Field ahead of 9 and 3. But I think you need to include all of them because things may just not pan out for Marshall Field equipped with blinkers for the first time as one would hope. So I'm pretty sure, I know Run Rudolph Rodden's got a bit of form, St. Silas has got a bit of form, but I think 3, 9 and 12 will get us through.
Very happy with that. 3, 9 and 12 in numerical order for race number 6, but place accumulator, I think 9 and 12, the numbers there for Graham. Race number 7, it's the Cape Racing Farm Sale Stakes over 1,200 meters. I mentioned this because it's a very decent return on your early investment. This stake is for 400,000. And this is the way they're betting. Number 1 at 4-1, 2 at 8-1, 3 at 8-1, 4 at 2-1, and then we got number 7 at 8-1 and 8 at 22-10. No confidence in the betting market with these two first-timers. Graham Justin says expected to be inexperienced, and Michelle Reeks, Harold Crawford could need the run. Both those horses are priced up at 8-1. What you make of this race, Graham? Because I'm looking at the field, and yep, it is just the one horse that has won a race, and that's number 8, Spirits Unite.
Yeah, and when it won, it beat Norshan, and we've just been describing Norshan in the previous race as a battling maiden. So just how good number 8 Spirits United turns out to be, because as a 2-year-old has had a lot of racing, and he won at the 7th time of asking. So he's had a lot of action as Spirits Unite when you consider that he was already having his 7th run to win as a juvenile, now has his 8th run as a 2-year-old. The early favourite is number 4, Warm White Winter Night, and why not entitled to be favourite. Looks like the stable elect. This is a restricted sales race, and they're only 9 runners. So I'm happy to go in the pick 6. I'm happy to go with 3 runners. Number 1, Lines Crossed. Number 4, Warm Winter Night. And number 8, Spirit Unite. I'm going to respect the fact that Spirit Unite has at least won a race. So I think 1, 4, and 8 in the pick 6. And probably also in the buy pot, in the place accumulator, you might want to bank a number 4, Warm White Winter Night. I make that the first choice on all the form to date. 4, 8, and 1 would be the order of my selections. But I would include all of 1, 4, and 8 in the jackpots and the pick 6s, and I think that'll get us through, because Jet Green is a first-timer, Undercover Lover is a first-timer, and as you say, there doesn't seem to be much confidence around for them, but that could change by race time. Of course, there could be some significant betting moves here which could alter the perspective of this race, but as things stand with what we have before us, Warm One Tonight would be my first choice, but I'd include 1, 4, and 8 in everything.
I think you got the right 3 bases covered there, Graham. 1, 4, and 8 for the pick 6. And again, very happy with that. Race number 7. And what's the first stake check? 237,500. Good return on your investment there with that farm sale race. Race number 8 over 1,400 meters. And this is for fillies and mares. It's the Cape B Stakes. How they're betting here, Graham? They're betting 4-1 the field, but we'll begin at the top. Number 1 at 4-1. 2 at 8-1, 3 at 7-1, 4 at 6-1, 5 at 7-1, 7 at 5-1, 8 at 6-1, 9 at 9-2. I think the only horse in double figures is number 6 at around 10-1, but it's 4-1 the field, Graham. Thus far, I think you've managed to narrow things down nicely in the 3 previous races. You've got some money to spend with this perm, Graham, and I think this is the race where you could do just that.
Well, I think the last 2 legs, often the case with race meetings in Cape Town, the last 2 races are tough handicaps, no exception this time around. Races 8 and 9 are both tough, which is why I'm hoping, looking back at that opening leg of the pick 6, that we don't have to go to the field, that there is strong money for Montlazier, and we can maybe back it, because as you said, we've narrowed down races 5, 6, and 7. I can't narrow down races 8 and 9 sufficiently unless you're prepared to gamble. That's what we're in it for. We're in it to win it. So let me give you my top 4 horses, my short list of 4 horses, which may not be enough, because you say when you sort of on 50%, you've got to go to the field. Give me a first. Number 1, number 2, Miss Greenlight. Number 5, Red Sash. I think Brett Crawford holds a very strong hand with Miss Greenlight and Red Sash. At least they know how to win. Give me a first one. It's penultimate start. And then you have to believe that number 7, Inara's Dynasty, is much better than that comeback run. She was off the track from October to June. That's a lengthy break. She came back on a very heavy track and ran disappointingly over 1,100 meters when beaten more than 15 lengths by Miss Marguerite. But if you go back in her form line, she beat the very decent time flies by 4 lengths. She beat Fly Better by 5 lengths. So she's got ability. She's got a hell of a pedigree. So she's got to be better than that. So I wouldn't be surprised to see improve that much to actually win this race. So 1, 2, 5, and 7 would be the short list. The others, Fun Zone, just doesn't know how to win. I was chatting to your Vera and saying, you know, she's due to win, but she just doesn't finish the job off. She looked as if she was going to win a penultimate start, but didn't round off the race. Betty Boop is there and thereabouts all the time. Bonica, Fusillade, and Perilla, they all have chances. So the only certain way to get through this race, Dees, I'm afraid, is with the field. It's a typical competitive fillies and mares race over 1,400 meters. They're very closely matched, and I'd be taking a chance if I only went with the 4 runners that I first mentioned, because any one of the other 5 can win it. So it's up to you how you structure. If you want to go the whole field, I would put you off that, because this is a nightmare of a race.
I think we're going to go the 4 runners, Graham, because I've jotted down some permutations, and I'm taking it that we're going to include the field in the first leg. So thus far, 16 times 3 times 3 times 4 is costing us 576 Rand. With that field at the back, obviously when we come back, we can possibly take a banker with that first timer, but 576, and we're looking to try and narrow it down here, possibly take 10% of this pick 6. There are 11 runners that go to post in race number 9. So 5 runners could be the way to go here. 1,600 meters, this is the way they're betting. Number 2 at 7 to 1, 5 at 5 to 1, 6 at 7 to 2, 9 is at 9 to 2, and then 11 Gainsford is at 7 to 1. So Graham, 576 Rand with the field in front, narrowing the perm down in the next 4 legs. And I'm giving you the luxury of 5 horses here, Graham.
Wow, 5 horses, another tough race. Okay, let me go in order. I think Charlie Croker's got to be at the top of that list. 5 Charlie Croker's got to be at the top of the list. But the minute I say that, then you're going to say to me, well, why is Elder de Meyer not riding Charlie Croker and he's riding Narina Trogon? Now, interesting that in all the time that Narina Trogon has raced, and this is having its 10 starts, never been ridden by Elder de Meyer before. Gareth Wright rides Charlie Croker. Elder de Meyer for the first time rides Narina Trogon. So you can say that the race is in the firm grasp of Candice Bass-Robinson, and that if the old days were back and couplings were a thing in the pick 6, we might well take a chance and banker the Candice Bass-Robinson stable. So the very, very short list, if you want to narrow it down for me, would be the 2 Candice Bass-Robinson runners, 5 Charlie Croker, 9 Narina Trogon. But you've given me the luxury of 5. So I'm going to include the 2 Vaughan Marshall runners, Scalini and Gainsford. They're both very much alive. And then you've got to include Future Turn by virtue of the fact that it's game and it's consistent. But amongst the balance of the field that we haven't included would be the likes of Nevada King, Prometeur, that could win it. And then there's a roughie. I'm not saying he's going to win it, but I'm looking for a much better run from a number 7, Huster Manana, at any price, to include in your trifectas and quartets. Better last 2 runs. We've mentioned that Des McLaughlin is back in action in the Western Cape. He used to train successfully in the Eastern Cape. He's had a couple of winners recently in these very same silks. Morley Van Al rides. They had a shock winner last week at 50 to 1. Huster Manana, we know he's talented. We know he's talented. He's run against some really top horses in the past, and he could suddenly come right. So he wants to be included in trifectas and quartets. But Charlie Croker and Narina Trogon, the top 2 for me, Dees.
2, 5, 6, 10, and 11. Can you confirm that? 2, 5, 6, 10, and 11. Or 2, 5, 6, 9, and 11. Apologies. 2, 5, 6, 9, and 11.
2, 5, 6, 9, and 11.
Yeah, 2, 5, 6, 9, and 11. And both the Candice Bass-Robinson runners given some airtime here, along with Future Turn, Gainsford, and number 2, Scalini. I'll tell you what, Graham, I'm just going to do a wrap here quickly. With field in front of the first leg of the pick 6, that's multiplying the perm by 16 runners, by banker 1, by 3, 9, 12, by 1, 4, 8, by 1, 5, and 7. And then by 2, 5, sorry, I must get that right. That penultimate leg, we've gone 1, 2, 5, and 7. Apologies, 1, 2, 5, and 7. And then by 2, 5, 6, 9, and 11, that perm will cost you 288 Rand for 10%. But if we're going to... But if we're going to banker, imagine this, Graham, from 288, if we're going to take a banker in the first leg, the horse number 4, that's attracted some money, that perm will cost you 180 Rand, Graham.
Worth taking a chance, but unfortunately we have to wait and see what the market does in race 4. It's one of those races, and if we're going to follow the money in race 4, then the money's first got to come before we can follow it. I'm not reading too much into the fact that the horse is shortened from 8 to 1 into 7 to 2. What will make me sit up and take note of Brett Crawford's runner in the fourth race, the opening, is if it shortens from 7 to 2 to 12 to 10. Then I will take note.
Thanks to Graham Hawkins, the banker bet in the exotics, race 5, horse number 1, Miracle in Motion. Graham, have a good day, and hopefully everything goes according to plan.
Thank you, Dees. Always a pleasure. Thank you very much.
That's Graham Hawkins, and on behalf of the entire team at Gallop TV, Graham Hawkins, myself, Dees Dine, and you have a good day if you're playing at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth, and until we meet again, you take care. Salani Kahle.